Ashley here and welcome to another video on the Penguin Palace Stamps YouTube channel. Today I'm sharing how to make this adorable mini slimline card using a lot of the new supplies from Penguin Palace Stamps' latest release, featuring especially this adorable Paris themed stamp set called Enchanting Paris. So without further ado, let's get into it. I'm starting by blending the background using 3 different colors of Distress Oxide ink. The yellow is Squeezed Lemonade, the middle color is Victorian Velvet, and the pink is War and Lipstick. And I'm just using my ink blending foam to put these colors onto the card. My cat was getting really involved in this, so I apologize in advance for her appearing on the screen quite a lot in this video. So I'm just blending on the colors in a horizontal pattern, just the pink and then the sort of purpley and then the yellow. And just kind of going back and forth between the colors to make sure I get a nice blend. I wanted to mention that these colors were actually inspired by the latest challenge over at the Penguin Palace Stamps blog. So Penguin Palace Stamps has started some new challenges that give you inspiration for a project to make over the next few weeks or month. And this current challenge is the first one they've run, and it features some really adorable colors that are beautiful together, including this yellow, pink, and purple shade, as well as some more sort of different purple shades. So I encourage you to head over to the Penguin Palace Stamps blog, where you'll see a link to their challenge blog, and you'll see all of the details about the challenge there. I believe you can actually win some prizes by getting involved in these challenges, so I definitely encourage you to check it out if you like that sort of thing and want to join it. Okay, so to add some extra dimension onto this background, I'm using the Rain of Hearts stencil, which is an older stencil by Penguin Palace Stamps, just overlaying it onto the background and then coming back in with the same 3 colors I had blended and adding a little bit more ink on. And this just kind of adds a nice tone-on-tone effect because those colors are a little bit darker when you've added them the second time and you see them coming through in that beautiful heart pattern. I will say, because it was a mini slimline card, it's 6 1/4 inches long, which means that the stencil wasn't quite long enough to cover the whole thing. So as you saw, what I did is I just sort of inked up until the end of the stencil, and then I took the stencil off and I lined it up with where I'd already inked and continued inking. So if your stencil is patterned like this, where it's sort of linear and it's easy to sort of line it up again and continue the pattern, that's definitely something you can keep in mind. You don't have to limit yourself to stencils that are big enough. You can just use the smaller stencils for your panel and just overlap them and kind of continue the pattern on your own. Okay, so as I was talking about stencils, I did go ahead and stamp out all the images I'm going to use for this card from the Enchanting Paris stamp set. Like I mentioned, this is new from Penguin Palace Stamps as part of their latest release. They actually released a few different stamp sets with an around the world theme, so each stamp set has a different location theme, which I think is super adorable. And my favorite one personally is they made one for Canada, which is where I'm from, so I have really enjoyed that one. But this Paris one is super cute too. And I'm coloring all of these images in to keep with the color challenge. So I am sticking mostly to yellows, pinks, and purples because those are the main colors in the color challenge, and then adding in some neutrals where needed like grays and browns. So I'm going to put on some music while I finish up with the coloring here. Feel free to sit back, relax, and enjoy the coloring process. If you don't want to watch the coloring, then of course you can skip to the next part of the video where you'll see the rest of the card coming together. Okay, so I finished up with the coloring, and off camera I went ahead and die cut all of those images so they're ready to go. Now I'm using this die cut, which is called the SIDEWALK Scene Builder die cut from Penguin Palace Stamps, again part of their newest release, and I cut it out of some cream colored cardstock, and it just creates some embossed lines. It's hard to tell in the video here, but hopefully you'll see it at the end when I sort of bring the card a bit closer and sort of twist it in the light. You'll see the embossed lines that you get on that piece to really make it look like a sidewalk, which is super cool. So I just glued that piece down onto my panel, and now I'm ready to add the rest of my elements and start gluing them down and adhering them together. For the pieces that sort of need to be glued together first, such as the little rose into the dog's mouth and the little bag into the person's hand, I'm just using some liquid glue to stick those things together, and then I can continue to sort of build out the scene by adding the images where I want them to be and just sort of fiddling around until I'm happy. Once I'm happy with all the placements, I'm just going through and using the same liquid glue to stick each of these images down onto the panel. And I'm just sort of holding them in place until I know that they're properly glued down and everything's good to go. I don't think I mentioned this, by the way, but before I started doing this, I did glue all of this down to a mini slimline card base, which is just out of white cardstock. The size I used for mini slimline was 6 1/4 by 3 1/4 inches, and that's just because I found that that fits nicely into some mini slimline envelopes that I bought, but really you can do whatever size works for you. So the final step is just to glue down that sentiment strip, which I stamped out onto some yellow paper, and the sentiment comes from the stamp set. It says, "Bonjour, happy birthday," which is very fitting, of course. So that is the final card. I hope that you enjoyed this video. It was so much fun to make, and like I mentioned, I'm just loving these location stamp sets, and I think they're so fun to use. If you want to see more of my cards, make sure to head over to my Instagram account, which is linked down in the description below, or head over to the Penguin Palace account as well as their challenge blog so you can participate too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!